There is a moment when you are boiling water where you got all the bubbles on the sides and a few bubbles start to come off, right? They start to come off, and one moment it is a pan of hot water, and the next moment it is bubbling, it's boiling, right? And we are at that moment here in the United States and around the world. What's going on right now, in the days and the weeks to come, we're already starting to see those bubbles coming off the walls of the pan, right? And we got a lot of things kind of popping off all at once. And this is crazy. It's completely crazy what's going on out there. And we are headed for a doom loop that is going around. To put it in chess terms, we are in the end game. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant by trade. And we're going to cover things on this video and connect some dots that mainstream media isn't doing out there. We're getting a lot of this information all over the place, and of course, the mainstream media spins this stuff or negates what's going on, but we're not going to do that. All right, so we got some big issues popping off right now. The border. We got some big... people are realizing what's really going on. More and more people are realizing what's going on. The polls out there are showing what the people are waking up to what's going on. And we're seeing even traditional allies of the Democratic Party are turning on them because they're seeing what this replacement thing is all about. We have President Biden out there. He said, he called the folks coming across the border Hispanic voters. And then he corrected himself and said, Hispanic citizens. And then he corrected again and said something to the effect of Hispanics who want to be citizens. But I don't know which is worse of those three. They're basically all the same thing, right? I don't care if people who come across the border want to be citizens. That's really irrelevant. If you don't come in legally, you don't get to become a citizen. Like, that's the rule. The rule is you come in illegally, there is no pathway to citizenship. You have to get a green card, come in legally from outside the country to do that. Now, the powers that be have created these back doors so that they can get citizenship, and we're seeing by the hundreds of thousands of people, we're seeing people who came here illegally are starting to become citizens, and that is very troubling because Congress never approved this. So how is this happening? Well, they're getting these legal statuses, and then they are then claiming that they basically have been here legally, so therefore they can apply for citizenship. And it's just one thing after the next. But people are waking up. That's one of the things that I'm seeing out there. Number two, we're seeing, I covered this yesterday, we have a major issue happening and brewing over in Ukraine. We have the F-16 fighter jets that are going to be deployed in the next few weeks to Ukraine. And Russia has said that they consider these nuclear-capable bombers and that they will treat them as such. Now, what does that mean exactly? We talked a little bit about that. This could be a nuclear escalation over there. Not only that, but we also have Russia is opening up a new offensive. They're spreading out the combat line further and further north. And let's just say Ukraine does not have enough troops to guard all those sections of the border. I've been wondering why they hadn't done this earlier. I looked at the map and it's kind of like there's a whole bunch of this section that they're not attacking on. Even if they just wanted to stretch Ukraine's resources, you'd think that they would open up more combat borders just to strain all of the Ukrainian positions, and so they don't have enough soldiers. But they are now doing that, and it looks like they're opening up whole districts. They're threatening, and so Ukraine's having to move troops up into those areas just to counter all these Russian threats. And that means that they're pulling them off the main lines. They're opening up a lot of the main lines potentially for a major offensive. But we're seeing this major offensive brewing, whether it's going to mainly come in from the north in these new sectors, or whether they're just drawing troops off so they can then push through on the battlefronts where they've been for a long time. But whatever you see out there, Ukraine is definitely coming to a boiling point. If Russia starts to really gain some ground and starts breaking through the defensive lines of the Ukrainians, that means things are going to change dramatically. We already have Estonia out there. We have Lithuania out there. We have countries out there, including France, who are talking actively about deploying troops to Ukraine in non-combat scenarios, in non-combat duties, but they were going to go into Ukraine and do training. They're going to go into Ukraine and do other things so that more and more Ukrainian soldiers can go to the front. But that means that they're entering into, with NATO uniforms, they're going to go into a combat zone. And Russia has already said that they will consider them combatants if they set foot in Ukraine. And while there are already non-uniformed soldiers from numerous countries already in Ukraine doing training and also helping them run combat air systems and stuff like that, those are all unofficial. They have not been noticed. They haven't been recognized by the sending countries. All the countries are like, no, we don't actually have any soldiers in there. But then when you push them on it, it's like, yeah, we have had soldiers in there, and they were there to do this kind of training, or they're there to do this or that. The UK has admitted that their soldiers were actually operating the air defense systems that were shooting down Russian aircraft. I'm surprised that that didn't cause more of an escalation. But we have a number of these European NATO member countries that are going to be sending in troops. They're talking about doing it right now. They want to form a NATO group and go in together. Not only that, but the United States Navy and Air Force is continuing to lose ground, still arguably ahead of other countries like China. But we're seeing more and more how much waste there is. Elon Musk has been showing this recently, has been humiliating Lockheed Martin and Boeing with his rockets, right? We're seeing the Starliner is supposed to take astronauts up to the space station, but they still can't get it off the ground. They keep having delays and delays and delays. It's like 8 years behind schedule. Way, way, way over budget. And then you have SpaceX that keeps coming in under budget and ahead of timetables, and it's just blowing these main defense contractors away. It just shows that if SpaceX was designing the next generation fighter jet, they would be able to produce this at way, way, way lower of prices than what Boeing is making aircraft at, and Lockheed Martin missiles. Everything is inflated 10 to 20 times the price it should be. And this is because bureaucratic inefficiencies. The United States has just become unable to compete with the world when it comes to price. The United States used to be able to compete with everybody and beat everybody, make things better and cheaper than everyone else in the world, and now we can't do that anymore. So as we go into the spending war with Russia and China, what we're seeing is while we're spending a lot more money on defense, it doesn't mean we're getting a lot more. We're seeing China very rapidly catching up to the United States in naval terms. A lot of their equipment, they're having learning. They're learning how to build Navy ships. They just launched their first super carrier, and this is a big deal because it has catapults, which will allow the fighter jets and bombers that lift off the deck of their aircraft carrier to carry heavier fuel loads, heavier munitions, and this is a big deal. Now that's going to be, and they're learning how to build these aircraft carriers, and they're building them, and they're planning on building a whole bunch of them, and that is going to really challenge U.S. dominance out there. Now, I know you're still saying, yeah, but it's bad stuff, it's cheap stuff. Well, United States stuff is increasingly becoming cheap and awful stuff too. Have you noticed how many problems Boeing has been having out there? It's just Every week we're hearing 2 or 3 Boeing aircraft are losing parts midair or having landing gear come off on the runway. This is getting a lot worse, that Boeing aircraft are having so many issues. We're not hearing this from Airbus, we're hearing it from Boeing, an American company. Not only that, but our purchasing power, our spending power, but then also we just have really bad strategy. The U.S. military is doubling down on fighting insurgents and stuff like that, but not ready for a great power struggle. China's out there building military bases and missile bases out in the ocean. The United States is not doing that. And the United States is falling further and further behind. This is coming to a boiling point too. As long as China thinks that it's getting further and further ahead, they're going to continue delaying. But once the United States finally starts waking up, we're going to start seeing conflict coming right around the corner. And then we have the election coming up. I don't know if you've seen the recent polling that Donald Trump is now polling 7 to 12% ahead of Joe Biden in these battleground states. It's not looking good for the Democrats. And for folks who lie, steal, and cheat for a living, and that's how they stay in power, this is very scary to them. They need that not to be that open, because it's hard to cheat that much, right? They're going to try for sure, but it's going to be much, much more obvious. And so the situation is that with these numbers skewed as they are, they know something's going to have to change, and they're going to have to do something about it. So the question is, what will they do between now and Election Day? And I think we're all kind of watching that, and we're concerned that they are going to take some direct action, or they're going to do something really crazy. And so, like I said, it's just everything is getting us to that boiling point. And the banking retail crisis is here. Personal debt on credit cards, $6,500 per credit card. Now, a lot of people have more than one credit card. The average debt on a credit card in the United States is $6,500. We're talking about well over a third of the population of the United States regularly using credit cards. And if they've charged up $6,500 per card, and then we have a lot of this deferred purchases, so we have buy now, pay later kind of schemes. We have tons and tons of debt with that people are not prepared for. We're going to have a lot of defaults coming forward. We have a lot of auto loans that are going to be defaulted on, which is going to stick the banks. We're going to have a lot of credit card defaults coming up. We're going to have a lot of buy now, pay later defaults out there. The banking crisis is going to implode soon. And not only that, but we also have this retail crisis. People aren't buying stuff anymore because they can't afford it. People have maxed out their credit cards in a lot of cases, and they're not able to make any more purchases anymore because they've lost all their credit. And so purchases are dropping dramatically, and companies like Walmart and other retailers out there are feeling the pain, which means they're going to have to lay off more people. And if they lay off more people, people aren't going to be able to pay their credit cards back. They're not going to be able to purchase things. We see this cycle is spiraling very quickly. And even from the job report numbers that we're hearing out there, they keep saying that there's job growth. There's all these new jobs out there. And the truth is that what's happening is full-time jobs are getting split up into 2 or 3 or 4 part-time jobs. And they're saying, look at all those extra jobs. But simple fact is, when they count a full-time job as one job and they count a part-time job as one job, when they're converting full-time jobs into part-time jobs, it looks like there's a bunch of jobs being created. And it's even worse than that. The number of people with one full-time job is dropping. Full-time jobs are dropping. We're seeing more and more people taking on multiple jobs. That's not a good sign. That's a bad sign. And not only that, but we're also seeing that total number of U.S. citizens with a job is dropping. They're losing jobs. Non-citizens are the ones gaining these jobs. So job growth out there, but not for Americans. Friends, this is getting to a boiling point as well. All of these things, one after the next, and we have other situations that are coming to a head too. The fact that people just can't get insulin right now. How long until people go from going from store to store trying to find insulin to taking it out on federal officials, going to the state representative office and saying, I need insulin, and they don't have it out there. Why don't we have insulin? I'm not leaving this office until you guys find us insulin. How long until that happens? If you want to see people marching on the streets, all you have to do is touch their lives on things like medications, touch their lives on things like not being able to get enough food, not being able to keep a roof over their family's head. This is when you're going to see people start acting out and in big ways. And we're right there. We're right there. How fast will all of this start to boil over? Just as a pot on the stove, you go over, you walk by, and you're like, there's a few bubbles there. I can go do something. And you go off to go do something. And when you come back, it's all boiling all over the place. It's making a mess of your stovetop. It's just like that, friends. Don't look away, because this is going to go crazy very, very quickly, well before the election season. And as we go into election season, friends, the world is going to change dramatically. All right, friends, we'll keep you updated on what's going on out there. This is the stuff I'm seeing right now, but we'll keep an eye on it. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you guys later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.